9 Soviet hikers fled into a sub-zero blizzard, slicing through their tent to escape an unseen threat. This desperate, sudden exodus left the group vulnerable to the extreme Ural mountain elements. They abandoned their boots, coats, and lives, leaving a trail of horrific injuries that Soviet officials could not explain. This sudden, unexplained desertion left investigators baffled by the physical evidence found at the scene. Investigators found broken skulls, massive internal trauma, and one body with burns that simply could not happen in that climate, leaving the cause of death a mystery. We're examining the actual evidence behind the Dyatlov Pass incident, a mystery that has remained unsolved for over 60 years. To grasp the full scale of the Dyatlov Pass horror, we must examine the hikers' individual identities and the specific goals they had set for their expedition. 10 veteran Soviet hikers from the Ural Polytechnical Institute began a challenging winter trek through the remote Ural Mountains in 1950. These weren't just amateurs or tourists out for a casual walk in the snow. These athletes and students were specifically trained to survive the harshest, most extreme environments found within the vast territories of the Soviet Union. The group aimed to summit Mount Otorten to earn a Grade 3 hiking rating, which represents the hardest and most demanding level within their specific certification system. Sandok, they survived through sheer endurance, navigation, and staying alive while completely alone, facing the brutal elements of the mountain. On January 28, 1959, a group of experienced hikers started their trek, leaving the small village of Vizhai behind for the mountains. The group's planned route meant they should have reached civilization by February 12, yet they never arrived. After that date passed without any telegrams from the group, the silence from the mountains felt heavy. Losing such a skilled group caused immediate panic at the Ural Polytechnical Institute, as the sudden disappearance left the academic community in shock. The Ural Mountains are brutal. When communication cut out, it looked like a disaster had hit the group. Looking at the timeline of their final nights, the events shift from a standard trek to a scene of inexplicable terror. Around February 1 or 2, 1959, the hikers set up their last camp on the eastern slopes of Kholat-Syakhl, marking the final recorded moment of their journey. Locals call Kholat-Syakhl Dead Mountain in the Mansi language, a name that feels appropriately grim, reflecting the region's haunting reputation. That freezing night ended everything for the group, sealing their fate in a way that remains unexplained to this day. Searchers reached the campsite and found a scene that made no sense, discovering a chaotic and baffling sight. Investigators found the tent partially collapsed, noting that someone slashed it open from the inside. This detail matters. The hikers didn't flee through the door, but cut their way out during a panicked, desperate rush. The hikers fled the campsite without enough warm clothing, abandoning nearly all their vital gear, including essential supplies and equipment. Footprints in the snow revealed some hikers wore only socks, underwear, or even walked barefoot, suggesting a desperate sudden flight from their campsite. Temperatures hit brutal, bone-chilling lows of 40 or 30 during this time. Walking into those temperatures without boots or heavy gear is basically a death sentence. And many students, teachers, and military personnel joined the massive search efforts. Searchers found the first 5 bodies over several weeks, scattered near the campsite and a cedar tree. The victims died near the Dyatlov Pass then, a ravine sitting 75 meters further into the woods than the cedar tree. This remote location deep within the forest provided the site of their final moments. Rescuers found the remaining hikers in this ravine. Their bodies showed even more disturbing injuries, including signs of intense physical trauma. 9 hikers tragically died during this specific, mysterious incident that remains unsolved. Soviet investigators released a contradictory report regarding the deaths, leaving many questions about the hikers' fate unanswered. Soviet authorities determined that hypothermia killed 6 of the deceased, following an investigation into the cause of death. The other 3 hikers died from blunt force trauma. The injuries did not look like a simple fall or a minor accident. Nikolai Fibo-Brunyor died from skull fractures caused by a heavy, high-impact blow. Severe blunt trauma caused Yuri Doroshenko's fatal pulmonary oedema and pulmonary contusion. The other injuries were just as strange, specifically the highly unusual nature of Krivonishenko's condition. Krivonishenko suffered severe third-degree burns and even bit off part of his own knuckle during the incident. This suggests intense physical trauma or a desperate, agonizing struggle to remain conscious. Group leader Igor Dyatlov died after vomiting blood, according to reports from https dyatlovpass.com to help the deaf. His body showed clear physical trauma. After, Zinaida Kolmogorova also had an unexplained injury, a distinctive, baton-shaped bruise located on her waist. Investigators spent months piecing together the discovery timeline. Searchers found the first bodies early in the investigation, but the final 4 hikers remained missing until May 1959, leaving the mystery unsolved for months. The last 4 bodies lay in a ravine creek, heavily decomposed because of how much time had passed. Forensic pathologist Boris Alexeyevich Vozrozdeny and medical examiner Ivan Ivanovich Laptev performed the detailed autopsy. Broken necks, twisted limbs, and crushed ribs led investigators to wonder if an external attack occurred, as the severity of the internal trauma suggested immense physical force. Investigators blamed the harsh, freezing environment for the deaths, even though the severe wounds seemed physically impossible. People still argue about the Dyatlov Pass incident today, because the physical evidence found at the scene contradicts almost every theory proposed to explain the tragedy. Some researchers suggest infrasound causes this. These are sound waves vibrating below the 20 Hz limit humans can actually hear, making them physically present but silent to our ears. Low-frequency infrasound triggers intense panic, physical nausea, and even vivid hallucinations in people. While the tent was slashed from the inside for a quick escape, there is no record of what could have panicked the group. Infrasound can cause vibrations to be felt in the body. Some think military tests caused it, considering the intense Cold War tensions of the era and the unexplained physical trauma found on the victims. Some theorists suggest the hikers found a secret Soviet weapons test, explaining the unusual baton-shaped bruises and the intense pressure applied to their bodies. By closing the investigation quickly, the Soviet government triggered widespread rumors about a massive cover-up. Newer physics studies now try to explain the slab avalanche theory, investigating how such sudden snow movements occur. The group cut their way out of their tent with knives and fled the campsite, leaving most of their belongings behind. While some hikers suffered severe injuries, the exact cause of the initial trauma remains undetermined. This explains the trauma, but it fails to show why those hikers wandered so far from camp without warm clothes. The group faced a hostile climate and snowstorms as they fled their tent, inadequately dressed for the heavy snow. Nature, technology, or something weirder, scientists still cannot explain exactly how those hikers died during the Dyatlov Pass incident. The mystery remains unsolved by modern researchers. What do you think actually went down on that mountain? Was it just a tragic accident? Or do the strange injuries and the slashed tent point to something more? The cause remains an unsolved mystery. Post your various theories in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the mysterious Dyatlov Pass investigation, please like and subscribe to the channel to see more historical mysteries. We will explore the eerie details of this unsolved mystery, from the hikers cutting their way out of their tent to the strange injuries found. Our next investigation covers the unexplained Dyatlov Pass incident,